Maya's garage sat near the end of Maple Street, where the road turned from smooth pavement into rough gravel. It was a small place with 2 wide doors, a faded sign, and a simple office made from an old storage room. Nothing about it looked fancy, but people in town trusted it more than any new shop with shiny floors. Maya did not sell big promises. She sold honest work. Every morning, she opened the garage before the sun felt warm. She swept the floor, checked the tool bench, and turned on the lights that buzzed softly above the bays. She liked the routine. The sound of a ratchet, the smell of metal, and the steady rhythm of repairs made her feel calm. It reminded her of her father, who taught her how to fix engines and how to treat people. Her father used to say that a good mechanic repairs more than machines. A good mechanic repairs someone's day. Maya never forgot that. When he passed away, she kept the garage running. Some weeks were hard. Bills did not care about feelings, and parts were not cheap. Still, she kept going, one job at a time. That afternoon was quieter than usual. A soft wind pushed dry leaves across the driveway. Maya had just finished a brake job on a small car and was washing her hands when she heard a rough engine outside. The sound was uneven, like the vehicle was tired and forcing itself forward. A beat-up pickup truck rolled into the yard. It was an older model, painted dark blue long ago, though now the color looked dull and scratched. The truck moved slowly and stopped near the first bay. The engine coughed once before going silent. An older man stepped out carefully. His name was Tom. Maya did not know his full story yet, but she could see that he carried years in his shoulders. His hair was gray, his hands were weathered, and his jacket had faded patches on the elbows. He closed the door gently, as if the truck was precious even in its worn state. Maya walked over with a polite smile. "Hi," she said. "What can I do for you today?" Tom cleared his throat. "Truck's been acting up," he said. "I'm not sure it'll make it much longer." His voice was calm, but the worry sat right under it. Maya nodded and asked what problems he noticed. Tom explained in simple words. The truck made a knocking sound when he pressed the gas. The brakes felt softer than they should. Sometimes the steering wheel shook, especially on the highway. He said he only drove it when he had to, but he needed it for groceries, doctor visits, and getting around town. He tried to keep it going because it was all he had. Maya listened without interrupting. She did not rush him. When he finished, she asked for the keys and told him she would take a look. Tom handed them over like he was passing something important. Maya popped the hood and leaned in. The engine bay was dusty but not neglected. She could tell Tom tried his best. The oil cap was clean. Some parts had been replaced before. A few bolts were newer than others. Still, the truck had lived a long life, and it showed. She checked the fluids, listened to the engine, and tested the brakes. Then she slid under the truck and inspected the underside with a light. The work would take time. It was not a quick fix, and she did not like the idea of sending Tom back on the road in something unsafe. When she finished, she stood up, wiped her hands, and walked back toward Tom. He was sitting on a chair near the office door, staring at the floor as if he was already preparing for bad news. Maya spoke gently. "It's fixable," she said. "But it needs real work." Tom looked up. "How bad?" Maya explained what she found. The brake pads were worn down. A brake line looked weak and needed replacement. The engine had a problem that could get worse if ignored. There were also a few smaller issues, the kind that seem minor until they stack up. She added up the cost in her head, including parts and labor. She wrote it down and showed him. It was not an unfair price, but it was still a lot of money for someone living carefully. Tom's face tightened the moment he saw the number. He did not get angry. He did not argue. He just nodded slowly, like he expected it. "I understand," he said quietly. "I don't have that kind of money right now." Maya watched him closely. She had seen this look before. People who were embarrassed but trying not to show it. People who wanted to pay but simply could not. Tom kept his voice steady, but his hands told the truth. His fingers moved over the edge of the paper as if he wished he could change the numbers with touch alone. "I'll take it home," Tom said. "Maybe I can come back when I save up." Maya opened her mouth to respond, then paused. Her eyes drifted to his jacket. On the chest was a small old pin and a stitched patch that showed he had served in the military. It was not loud or flashy. It was simply there, like a quiet fact. Maya asked, "Are you a veteran?" Tom nodded. "Yes," he said. "A long time ago." He did not say it to gain sympathy. He said it like someone mentioning a past job. But his eyes carried something deep, the kind of tired that came from hard years and heavy memories. Maya did not push for details. She did not need to. Respect sat in the air between them. Maya thought of her father again. He used to talk about the old soldiers he met, the ones who never asked for attention but always showed up for others. He believed kindness was a debt people paid forward, not a favor people demanded back. Maya looked at the paper, then at Tom. "Tom," she said, "I can't let you drive this truck in that condition." Tom's shoulders drooped. "I know," he said. "But I don't know what else to do." Maya took a breath. She made a decision in the quiet space between his words. "I'll fix it," she said. Tom blinked. "You mean, you'll fix it when I can pay?" Maya shook her head. "I mean I'll fix it now," she said. "You don't need to pay me." For a second, Tom did not speak. He looked like he did not understand the sentence. Then he frowned, confused and uneasy. "That's not right," he said. "You can't do that. Parts cost money. Your time costs money." Maya nodded. "I know," she said. "But sometimes a person needs help more than a bill needs to be paid. And you need your truck." Tom stood up slowly. His eyes glistened, but he fought to keep his face calm. "I can't accept that," he said, though his voice was already breaking. "I'm not asking for charity." Maya kept her tone steady. "It's not charity," she said. "It's a gift. One time. Let me do this." Tom stared at her for a long moment. The pride in his posture battled the relief in his eyes. He wanted to refuse, but he also wanted to breathe again without fear of his truck failing on the road. Finally, he nodded once. "Thank you," he said quietly. "I don't have words." "You don't need words," Maya replied. "Just let me work." Tom handed her the keys again, slower this time, like he was handing over trust. Maya watched him walk out of the garage and toward the sidewalk. He paused near the edge of the driveway, turned back, and gave a small salute with 2 fingers, not dramatic, just sincere. Then he left. Maya stood there for a moment, feeling the weight of what she had chosen. It would cost her, yes. She would have to budget tighter this month. But something inside her felt steady, like she had done what her father would have done. She rolled the truck into the bay, lifted the hood, and started working with focus. She did not know what would happen next. She did not know that this simple act would travel farther than she imagined. She only knew that a man needed his wheels, and she had the skills to help. And in a quiet town where small actions were remembered, that was enough to begin something bigger than a repair. The next morning, Maya opened the garage earlier than usual. The sky was still pale, and the town felt half asleep. She liked these hours because they gave her space to think. Tom's truck sat quietly in the bay, lifted and waiting. Tools were lined up beside it like soldiers ready for duty. Maya took a deep breath and got to work. She started with the brakes. The old pads were worn thin, and the metal beneath showed how close they were to failing. She removed them carefully and cleaned the surrounding parts. Her movements were steady and practiced. She worked with focus, but her thoughts wandered to Tom. She wondered how long he had been worried about the truck and how many times he had chosen to drive slowly just to avoid trouble. As the hours passed, the garage filled with the sound of work. Wrenches turned. Bolts loosened. New parts replaced old ones. Maya wiped sweat from her brow and kept going. She did not rush, but she did not slow down either. She wanted the truck to be safe and strong. By midday, she moved to the engine. The knocking sound came from a worn part that had survived longer than it should have. She replaced it, checked the surrounding systems, and made sure everything fit just right. When she tested the engine again, the sound was smoother, calmer, like the truck could finally rest. Maya allowed herself a small smile. She took a break to drink water and eat a simple lunch at her desk. The garage door stayed open, and a few people passed by. Some waved. One neighbor stopped to ask if she had time later in the week. Maya nodded and told him to come back tomorrow. She did not mention Tom or the free repair. She never did when she helped someone quietly. It was not something she wanted credit for. By late afternoon, the truck was nearly done. Maya lowered it from the lift and took it outside for a short test drive. The steering felt stable. The brakes responded well. The engine no longer complained. It felt like a vehicle ready for the road again. When she returned, she parked it neatly and cleaned the interior. She did not replace anything inside, but she wiped the dashboard, vacuumed the floor, and made the seats look as good as they could. She treated the truck with respect, like it was part of someone's life and not just a job. As the sun lowered, Tom returned. He walked slowly into the garage, unsure of what to expect. When he saw the truck parked clean and steady, his face softened. Maya stepped out to greet him. "It's ready," she said. Tom stared at the truck, then back at her. "All ready." Maya nodded. "Take it for a drive." Tom hesitated, then climbed into the driver's seat. He started the engine. The sound surprised him. It was smoother than he remembered. He backed out carefully and drove down the street. Maya watched from the doorway. A few minutes later, Tom returned. He parked, turned off the engine, and sat still for a moment. Then he stepped out and leaned on the door, breathing deeply. "It feels like new," he said softly. Maya shook her head. "Not new. Just safe." Tom looked at her, eyes shining. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded paper. "I know you said no payment," he said. "But please take this. Even if it's small." Maya gently pushed his hand away. "I meant what I said," she replied. "Keep it." Tom nodded slowly. He did not argue again. He knew when a decision was firm. He thanked her once more, this time with a stronger voice. Then he drove away, sitting taller than when he arrived. Maya watched the truck disappear down the road. That night, she locked the garage and went home tired but calm. She cooked a simple meal and sat by the window. Outside, the streetlights came on one by one. She thought about how small choices could feel heavy and light at the same time. The next few days passed quietly. Maya returned to her routine. Cars came and went. Oil changes. Tire rotations. Small fixes. Life moved on. She thought about Tom now and then but assumed that was the end of it. One afternoon, while she was tightening a bolt under a car, she heard a loud engine outside. Not a normal car engine. Something bigger. She slid out from under the vehicle and stood up. Through the open garage doors, she saw a flatbed trailer pulling into the driveway. It was large and clean, and it moved slowly, like it did not want to disturb the space. Maya frowned in confusion. The trailer stopped directly in front of her garage. A driver stepped out, wearing a neat shirt and cap. He looked around, then walked toward her holding a clipboard. "Are you Maya?" he asked. "Yes," she replied. "What's this about?" The driver smiled politely. "I've got a delivery for you." Maya looked past him at the trailer. Something large sat on it, covered with a thick tarp and secured with straps. She could not tell what it was. "I didn't order anything," she said. The driver checked his clipboard. "It's already paid for," he said. "All I need is your signature." Maya hesitated. Her heart beat a little faster. She signed the paper slowly, still unsure. The driver nodded and began removing the straps. As he pulled back the tarp, Maya stepped closer. Underneath was a piece of equipment she recognized instantly. It was a professional grade lift, newer and stronger than the one she had been using for years. Maya's breath caught. "This can't be right," she said. "There must be a mistake." The driver shook his head. "No mistake," he said. "This is for you." He handed her an envelope. Her name was written on the front in neat handwriting. Maya recognized it right away. It was Tom's handwriting. Her hands trembled slightly as she opened the envelope. Inside was a single letter, written carefully. Maya read it silently. Tom wrote about his service, about learning the value of looking out for others. He wrote about pride and struggle and about how hard it was to accept help. He said her kindness reminded him that respect still existed. He explained that the trailer and the lift were not payment. They were his way of passing forward what she gave him. He ended the letter by saying that her garage helped more than cars. It helped people keep moving. Maya lowered the letter slowly. Her eyes were wet, but she smiled. The driver finished unloading the lift and asked where to place it. Maya pointed inside the garage, still holding the letter close to her chest. As the trailer pulled away, Maya stood alone in the doorway. The garage felt different now. Not bigger, not richer, but fuller. She looked at the new lift, then at the tools her father once held. She understood something clearly in that moment. Kindness did not disappear when it left your hands. It traveled. And sometimes, it came back stronger than you ever expected. The garage felt different the next morning. Maya noticed it the moment she unlocked the door and stepped inside. The air felt the same, the smell of oil and metal had not changed, but something deeper had shifted. The new lift stood firmly in the center bay, clean and strong, like a promise made solid. Maya walked around it slowly. She touched the side, checked the controls, and read the label again just to be sure it was real. She had worked for years with old tools, always careful, always adjusting. This lift made work easier, safer, and faster. It was something she never thought she could afford anytime soon. She folded Tom's letter carefully and placed it in the small drawer of her desk. She did not want to hang it on the wall or show it off. It felt personal. It felt like something meant to stay close. When she opened the garage doors, the first customer arrived within minutes. A woman named Sarah brought in her car with a shaking wheel. Maya lifted the car using the new equipment. Sarah watched with surprise. "That's new," she said. Maya nodded. "Just got it." Word spread faster than Maya expected. By midday, people stopped by not only for repairs but also to ask questions. They noticed the flatbed marks outside. They noticed the new lift. A few asked how she managed to upgrade so suddenly. Maya kept her answers simple. "Someone helped me," she said. She did not say more, but people understood enough. Respect grew quietly. Not the loud kind, but the kind that stays. Later that week, Tom returned. Maya was tightening a bolt when she saw his truck pull in. It looked even steadier than before. Tom stepped out and waited near the entrance, unsure if he was welcome again. Maya stood up and walked over with a smile. "Good to see you," she said. Tom nodded. "I hope I didn't cause trouble," he said. "With the delivery." Maya shook her head. "You didn't," she said. "You surprised me." Tom looked relieved. "I didn't know how else to say thank you," he said. "I spent years fixing things for others. When I saw your garage, I knew what it needed." Maya leaned against the workbench. "You didn't owe me anything," she said. Tom smiled gently. "I know," he said. "That's why I did it." They stood quietly for a moment. Then Tom cleared his throat. "I brought something else," he said. He opened the truck and pulled out a small box. Inside were old photos and papers. He handed them to Maya. "These are from my service days," he said. "I'm part of a small group that helps local veterans. Not money help. Skill help. Transport help. I told them about you." Maya felt her chest tighten. You told them what? She asked. Tom smiled. That there's a mechanic here who fixes more than engines, he said. Over the next days, veterans began to arrive. Not all at once. One at a time. A man with a broken mirror. A woman with worn tires. Another older man whose car would not start in cold mornings. Maya did not fix everything for free. She did not make promises she could not keep. But she listened, and when she could help, she did. The garage became a place where stories were shared along with repairs. People talked while Maya worked. They spoke about families, jobs, worries, and small victories. The space filled with quiet strength. One afternoon, a young boy stood outside the garage, watching. He was around 12 years old, thin, with curious eyes. He came closer slowly. Do you fix bikes too? He asked. Maya smiled. Sometimes, she said. What's wrong with yours? The boy rolled in a rusty bike with a loose chain and a bent handle. Maya kneeled and looked at it. She fixed what she could with spare parts and adjusted the rest. The boy watched closely, asking questions. When she finished, he smiled wide. I want to fix things like you, he said. Maya handed him a cloth. Then start by learning how to clean tools, she said. The boy returned after school whenever he could. He helped sweep floors and organize shelves. Maya did not pay him money. She paid him with time and lessons. The town noticed. Local shops began sending customers her way. A nearby hardware store offered discounts on parts. A cafe owner brought free coffee in the mornings. Small acts began stacking, one on top of another. One evening, Maya stayed late, reviewing her books. For the first time in years, the numbers did not scare her. She was not rich, but she was stable. The garage was growing, not just in business, but in meaning. She walked outside and looked at the sign above the garage. The crack was still there. The paint still faded. She decided to keep it that way. It reminded her where she started. Tom stopped by again near sunset. He watched Maya close up. You built something good here, he said. Maya shook her head. I didn't build it alone, she said. Tom nodded. No one ever does, he replied. As the sun lowered, the garage lights came on, warm and steady. Cars lined the street, waiting their turn. People talked, laughed softly, and helped one another move vehicles. Maya stood in the doorway and realized something simple and true. One choice had opened a door she never knew existed. Not a door to wealth or fame, but a door to connection. And once opened, it stayed open. The garage was busier than it had ever been, yet Maya felt more calm than tired. Each day followed a rhythm that made sense. Cars arrived. Problems were explained. Solutions were found. People waited, talked, and sometimes helped each other without being asked. The space had grown into more than a workplace. It felt like a small center of trust. Maya adjusted her schedule to handle the flow. She arrived early and stayed late, but she no longer felt alone. The young boy who helped after school now knew where every tool belonged. His name was Leo. He took pride in keeping the floor clean and the shelves organized. He listened closely when Maya explained how engines worked and why patience mattered. One morning, a local reporter came by. She had heard stories about the garage and wanted to write something small for the town paper. Maya felt uneasy at first. She did not like attention. Still, she agreed to answer a few questions. The reporter asked about the new lift, about the veterans who visited, and about how the garage changed so quickly. Maya answered honestly but briefly. She spoke about kindness, about skills shared, and about helping when possible. When the article came out, it did not make Maya famous. It did something better. It reminded people of what was possible. More customers arrived, not to get free repairs, but to support a place that felt right. Business grew in a healthy way. Tom visited often but never stayed long. He liked to watch from a distance. He saw how the garage helped others move forward. He spoke with veterans quietly and guided them when needed. He never took credit. One afternoon, an older woman named Ruth arrived with a broken van. She lived alone and used the van to deliver food to people who could not leave their homes. The repair was serious. Maya explained the cost and the time needed. Ruth nodded slowly. She said she would wait. While the van was being repaired, people learned what Ruth did for others. A few customers left small notes on the desk. One paid extra on their bill. Another offered spare parts. By the time the van was ready, much of the cost had been covered. Ruth cried softly when she learned this. Maya placed a hand on her shoulder and said nothing. No words were needed. That evening, Maya sat at her desk long after the doors closed. She thought about how the garage now carried many stories. Some were heavy. Some were hopeful. All of them mattered. She remembered the early days when she doubted herself. When bills felt endless and silence filled the shop. She remembered how close she came to closing the doors more than once. She realized now that strength had been there all along. It simply needed time and care. Leo finished sweeping and stood near the door. "Do you think I can fix cars one day?" he asked. Maya smiled. "If you keep learning and stay honest," she said. "Yes." The next week brought a challenge. A storm passed through town and left damage behind. Several cars arrived with water issues and electrical problems. Maya worked carefully, knowing mistakes could be costly. She organized the work and asked for help when needed. People stepped in. One customer helped move cars. Another brought food. The cafe sent warm drinks. The garage became a shelter of sorts. Not from rain, but from worry. Maya noticed something important during that time. She no longer carried every burden alone. The community had grown around the garage like a strong frame around an engine. Each part played a role. Late one night, Maya found another letter on her desk. There was no name on the outside. Inside, the letter thanked her for keeping the garage open during the storm. It said the repairs helped someone get to work and keep their job. It said hope mattered. Maya folded the letter and placed it beside Tom's. The drawer now held more than paper. It held proof. As weeks passed, the garage reached a turning point. Maya had to make a choice. She could expand and hire more workers, or she could keep things small and personal. She thought carefully. Growth was good, but not at the cost of care. She chose balance. Maya hired one part-time helper and trained him slowly. She kept the hours steady and the standards high. The garage remained a place where people felt seen. On a quiet afternoon, Tom stood by the doorway again. "You did more than fix a truck," he said. Maya looked up. "So did you," she replied. They shared a quiet understanding. Life moved in circles, not straight lines. What was given returned in new forms. As the sun set, the garage lights glowed against the darkening sky. Cars waited patiently. Voices carried softly. Tools rested between uses. Maya locked the doors that night with a steady hand. She knew challenges would come again. Machines would fail. People would struggle. But she also knew something stronger now lived within those walls. Care had become habit. Kindness had become culture. And that made all the difference. Winter arrived slowly, like a quiet visitor that did not want to be noticed at first. The mornings became colder, and the sky stayed gray for longer hours. In the garage, Maya kept the heater running near the office, but the large space still held the chill. She worked in gloves sometimes, then removed them when she needed a better grip. Business did not slow down. In fact, winter brought new problems. Batteries died. Tires lost pressure. Engines struggled to start. Maya handled each job with the same calm focus, and the new lift continued to save her time and strength. She still thought about Tom's letter often, not because of the lift itself, but because it reminded her that kindness could carry real weight. Leo continued coming after school. He wore an old beanie and a thick jacket now. He swept the floor, organized tools, and watched every repair like it was a lesson in a classroom. Maya noticed how his confidence grew. He began speaking more, asking better questions, and even noticing small issues before Maya pointed them out. One afternoon, Leo ran into the garage with excitement. "Maya, there's a big truck outside," he said. "Like a bus." Maya wiped her hands and stepped toward the door. A large vehicle had pulled into the driveway. It was not a bus, but it was close. It looked like a mobile service van, the kind used for events or work crews. It was clean and well kept, and it had a logo on the side that Maya did not recognize. A man stepped out wearing a neat coat and a friendly expression. He walked toward Maya holding a folder. "Hello," he said. "Are you Maya, the owner here?" "Yes," Maya replied cautiously. "How can I help?" The man introduced himself as Ben. He said he worked with a regional group that supported veterans and their families through skill training and job programs. He had heard about Maya's garage through several people, including Tom. Maya glanced toward Tom's old truck, which she could still picture clearly in her mind. She felt a small tension in her chest. She did not want any trouble or drama. She only wanted to work and help when she could. Ben smiled as if he understood her concern. "I'm not here to cause problems," he said. "I'm here to offer something." He explained that their group had been looking for community shops that could train young people in practical skills. They wanted safe places where students could learn real work, build confidence, and stay away from bad choices. Ben said the garage had become known not only for good repairs, but also for the way people were treated inside it. Maya listened quietly. She did not like big talks, but she liked the idea of teaching. She had already started doing it with Leo. She knew what it meant to learn from someone who believed in you. Ben continued. He said the group could provide small support for tools, safety gear, and training materials. They could also send a few students, mostly teens from families who needed a second chance at stability. It would not change Maya's business into a school. It would simply create a structured way to teach. Maya looked down at her hands, still marked from work. She thought of her father again. She thought of how he taught her with patience, even when she made mistakes. She thought of how those lessons kept her standing during hard times. "I need to think," she said. Ben nodded. "Of course," he replied. "Take your time." He left a card and walked back to his van. Before he drove away, he added something that stayed in Maya's mind. "Tom said you didn't just fix his truck," Ben said. "He said you gave him back dignity." After Ben left, Maya stood in the doorway for a long moment. The cold wind touched her face, but she barely felt it. She did not know how to respond to words like that. She did not feel like a hero. She felt like a mechanic who made a choice in a quiet moment. That evening, Tom arrived again, as if he sensed her thoughts. He stepped in slowly, carrying a small paper bag. "I brought soup from the cafe," he said. "They said you work too much." Maya smiled and accepted it. Tom noticed the card on her desk. "You met Ben," Tom said. Maya nodded. "I did," she replied. "You sent him." Tom lifted his hands a little. "I told him about the garage," he said. "I didn't expect him to come so soon." Maya looked at Tom carefully. "Why are you doing all this?" she asked. Tom took a breath. He looked toward the garage floor, then back to her. "Because when I came here," he said, "I felt like my life was shrinking. I felt like everything I had done did not matter anymore. I was proud, but I was also tired. You helped me without making me feel small. That's rare." Maya felt her throat tighten. She stayed quiet. Tom continued. "In my service days, we learned that a strong team takes care of the person next to them. Not because they owe it, but because they understand what happens when no one does. I saw you working alone here. I saw you carrying everything. I didn't want to watch that and do nothing." Maya looked at the new lift, then at the old tools on the wall. She understood something clear. Help had come to her because she gave it first, but it stayed because she allowed it to grow into something bigger than pride. The next day, Maya made a decision. She called Ben and told him yes, but with conditions. The training would be simple and safe. Students would learn basics first, like cleaning, organizing, and understanding tools. No one would be pushed too fast. Respect would be required. Honesty would be the rule. Ben agreed quickly. He sounded grateful. A few weeks later, the first 2 students arrived. They were nervous and quiet. Maya introduced herself plainly and showed them how to sweep the floor properly. She showed them how to place tools back where they belonged. She explained why a safe shop mattered. Leo watched from the side, proud that he already knew many of the rules. Maya noticed how he began helping the new students, showing them where things were and how to do small tasks. Leo was becoming a teacher too, without even realizing it. As the program continued, the garage became even more alive. It still repaired cars, but it also repaired confidence. It gave young people something to hold onto. It gave veterans a place to feel respected. It gave the town a reason to believe in itself again. One snowy evening, Maya stayed late to finish a job. She walked outside and saw Tom's truck parked across the street. Tom stood near it, looking toward the garage lights. Maya stepped closer. "Everything all right?" she asked. Tom nodded. "Just wanted to see the place," he said. "It's different now." Maya looked back at the garage. Through the window, she could see Leo cleaning a tool bench while one of the new students stacked boxes. The scene was simple, but it felt powerful. "It's still a garage," Maya said. Tom smiled. "It's more than that," he replied. Maya did not argue. She understood. When Tom drove away, Maya returned inside and closed the doors. The wind howled outside, but the garage was warm. The lights were steady. The tools were in place. The people she helped were still moving forward. Maya sat at her desk and opened the drawer. She touched Tom's first letter, then the others that followed. She realized that her father's lesson was true. A good mechanic repairs someone's day. And sometimes, that repair travels far enough to change a whole community.